They called me the sharpest tongue in the capital, not as a compliment, but as a warning. I could dismantle a reputation with a single sentence, reduce grown men to tears without raising my voice, and make the most arrogant noblewomen flee like startled rabbits. My father, a humble clerk in the imperial archives, would shake his head and sigh. "May, that mouth of yours will ensure you die alone." He was right to worry. By 23, every matchmaker in the capital of Jinling crossed the street to avoid our door. Marriage proposals? Non-existent. My future? Doomed to spinsterhood. Until the day Lord Chen, third-rank official, widower, and the most eligible bachelor in the empire, sent the capital's most expensive matchmaker to my doorstep with an offer I couldn't refuse. Not because I wanted marriage. Not because I believed in love. But because he offered me 16 properties, a chest of pearls, and one simple job: be his son's weapon. You see, Lord Chen didn't need a wife. He needed a warrior. And I was about to become the most dangerous stepmother in the empire. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments which country you're watching from, and if you enjoy powerful stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to Lotus Tale Studios for more inspiring tales. Now, let's begin. The day Madame Zhou arrived at our crumbling courtyard, the entire neighborhood descended into chaos. Is that Madame Zhou? The matchmaker who only serves families above the third rank? She's here for May, the girl who made Magistrate Wang's wife faint from verbal assault. My father's hands trembled so violently he spilled tea across his robes. I sat in the corner, methodically cracking sunflower seeds, watching the performance with detached amusement. Madame Zhou swept into our modest receiving hall like an empress entering conquered territory. Her silk robes probably cost more than our house. She bowed, barely, to my father. "Master Lin, I come bearing Lord Chen formal proposal for your daughter, May." The teacup slipped from my father's fingers and shattered. "Lord Chen," he whispered. "The Lord Chen from the Department of Revenue? Is there another?" Madame Zhou's smile was professionally warm, calculating. She produced a marriage contract so long it pooled on the floor. "Lord Chen has stated that Miss May possesses a unique directness of character, unburdened by conventional feminine restraint. He finds this quality admirable and wishes to form a matrimonial alliance." I nearly choked on a sunflower seed. Admirable? The man had clearly never met me. Yet somehow, he was praising the very characteristic that had turned me into the capital's most notorious spinster. Something was wrong. Deeply, fundamentally wrong. But when I looked at my father, at the hope blazing in his tired eyes, at the way his whole face had transformed, my cynical heart softened just slightly. "Father," I heard myself say, "I accept." The wedding was magnificent. Too magnificent. The kind of ceremony that screamed, "We're trying to impress someone rather than we're celebrating love." I sat beneath a phoenix crown so heavy it could snap necks, silently counting down the moments until I could remove it. The door opened. Lord Chen entered, and I understood immediately why half the unmarried women in Jinling had thrown themselves at his feet. Devastatingly handsome, sharp cheekbones, intelligent eyes, the bearing of someone who commanded rooms without speaking. When he lifted my red veil, his expression held genuine excitement. Not the lecherous anticipation I'd feared, but something oddly professional. "I heard," he said, his first words to his new wife, "that when you verbally destroy someone, they go home and transcribe your insults into their family records as cautionary tales." The romantic fantasy I'd been building shattered like dropped porcelain. "Husband," I said carefully, "those are vicious rumors. I've reformed completely. I intend to be a virtuous, gentle wife." "No." He actually looked distressed. "No, please don't. I need you fierce. Absolutely merciless." I stared. "What?" He coughed, spots of color appearing on those aristocratic cheekbones. "My first wife abandoned us when our son, Tianyu, was an infant. The boy is 7 now. Brilliant, sensitive, but the other children mock him constantly. Abandoned bastard, they call him. The noble family's children are particularly cruel. Understanding crashed over me like a bucket of ice water. You want me to be his attack dog? I prefer the term strategic verbal defender, he said primly. The Chen family cannot be seen engaging in common disputes. Our reputation is built on diplomatic restraint and scholarly virtue. But you? His eyes actually sparkled with something like admiration. You have no such constraints. So you didn't marry me for love, charm, or compatibility. I married you for that legendary mouth. I should have been furious. Should have thrown something. Instead, I found myself impressed. At least it was honest. At least there were no false romantic pretenses. There's a problem, I said sweetly. I've taken a Buddhist vow of verbal nonviolence. From this day forward, I shall speak only words of peace and compassion. His face fell, but I held up a hand. However, if someone were to compensate me for breaking said vow. I let the suggestion hang. Chen's expression transformed from panic to understanding to respect in 3 seconds flat. Without a word, he pulled a pearl the size of a goose egg from his sleeve. Under the candlelight, it glowed with an ethereal radiance. The emperor gave me this after my diplomatic mission to the southern seas. Worth approximately 10,000 silver taels. I tried to look unimpressed. I really did. Then he pulled out a stack of property deeds thick enough to use as a pillow. 16 properties throughout Jinling. All titled in your name. Immediately. I snatched both offerings faster than lightning, clutching them to my chest like a dragon guarding treasure. Deal, I announced. Starting tomorrow, I am Tianyu's mother in all but biology. Anyone who harms him will regret their ancestors' decision to procreate. Chen's relief was palpable. He bowed deeply. Then everything rests in your capable hands, madam. We smiled at each other, not with love, but with mutual understanding. A business arrangement. A strategic alliance. He would maintain his reputation as the gentle, diplomatic minister. I would be the attack dog he desperately needed. Honestly, after years of being treated like a monster for my sharp tongue, being paid for it felt rather refreshing. The next morning, I dressed simply but elegantly for my first mission, picking up Tianyu from the Imperial Academy. I'd ordered the kitchen to prepare flower-shaped pastries from the capital's most famous shop, a peace offering to my new stepson. The academy gates were crowded with elaborate carriages, each more ostentatious than the last. Noble ladies clustered in groups, dripping with jewelry, their servants burning expensive incense. The moment my modest carriage appeared, heads turned. Whose shabby vehicle is that? I heard Lord Chen remarried some lowborn girl. Probably her. 23 and only now married? I'd birthed 4 children by that age. The speaker was a woman drowning in jade pins and red silk, Lady Song Rui, wife of Lord Song from the Department of Rights. Her 2 friends flanked her like particularly vicious peacocks. I quietly produced my sunflower seeds, crunching them thoughtfully while approaching from behind. What delightful conversation, I chirped. May I join? All 3 women jumped like startled cats. Lady Song recovered first, pointing a jeweled finger at my face. How dare you sneak up on us? Do you know who I am? I could have your father dismissed for such rudeness. I gasped, pressing a hand to my chest. Lady Song. The legendary Lady Song. Your reputation precedes you. My eyes shone with apparent worship. Such grace, such dignity. Truly, you embody everything a noblewoman should be. She preened, lifting her chin. Well, at least you recognize quality when you see it. Her friends exchanged knowing smirks. The rumors are true. She's pathetic. I leaned in conspiratorially, lowering my voice. My lady, you probably haven't heard yet, but on my way from the Western District, I overheard the most scandalous gossip. Her eyes narrowed with interest. What gossip? About your 3 precious sons. I arranged my face into genuine concern. The eldest is 9 and still can't recite basic poetry. The middle son is 7 but walks with a limp from that accident last year. The youngest is 5 and still has accidents with his chamber pot. I paused dramatically. Everyone in Jinling is saying that you and Lord Song must have committed terrible sins in your past lives. The gods are punishing you through your children. The color drained from her face. The powder on her cheeks actually cracked. Everyone did know her sons were developmentally delayed. Lord Song had grown cold toward her because of it, spending his nights with concubines who'd borne him healthy children. This was her deepest wound, and I'd just jabbed it with a poison needle. You vicious creature, she shrieked. I'll tear that mouth from your face. Her maid rolled up her sleeves, advancing with raised hands. I didn't flinch. Go ahead. Strike me right here. I pointed to my cheek. My husband is Lord Chen Wuxian, third-rank official. Touch one hair on my head, and tomorrow your entire family will be in prison. The maid's hand froze mid-air. She glanced at her mistress, then slowly lowered her arm. No matter how loyal, it wasn't worth execution. Lady Song, abandoning dignity, raised her own hand to slap me. I yanked the woman beside her, Lady Zhang Lian, directly into the path of the blow. Crack! The slap landed perfectly on Lady Zhang's carefully maintained cheek, which immediately swelled like a steamed bun. Rui! Lady Zhang shrieked, clutching her face. How dare you hit me? I didn't. She pulled you. We're on the same side. Lady Song babbled. I positioned myself behind Lady Zhang, adding fuel to the flames. Did she really? Or has she been waiting for an excuse to strike you? Doesn't she always mock your husband's low rank behind your back? Lady Zhang grabbed Lady Song's prized coral hairpin and yanked, sending it flying into the crowd. You've bullied me for years. Who begged you for fertility medicine when I couldn't conceive? You did. And you've held it over my head ever since, treating me like a dog. How dare you? Lady Song grabbed her hair. Ungrateful wretch. You begged me for help. You said you'd be loyal forever. The third woman, Lady Wu Hua, tried to separate them. Both women turned on her simultaneously, dragging her into the brawl. Within minutes, 3 of Jinling's most elegant noblewomen were rolling on the ground, pulling hair, tearing jewelry, screaming obscenities that would make soldiers blush. I finished my sunflower seeds just as the academy bell rang. Students poured out, laughing and chattering. All except one small figure who emerged alone, head down, shoulders hunched. Tianyu. I waved enthusiastically. Mother is here. The boy looked up, startled. 7 years old with his father's intelligent eyes but none of his confidence. He shuffled forward reluctantly. A pudgy boy, Lady Song's eldest son, Wei, blocked his path. Tianyu, I heard your father remarried. Stepmothers are evil. You're doomed now. She'll probably beat you and starve you. And hello. I materialized beside them, stuffing warm pastries into Tianyu's hands. Then I smiled at Wei. You must be Lady Song's precious son. My, what a substantial young man you are. Wei's face reddened. I heard you've been studying the classic of poetry for 6 months but still can't recite the opening verses. But you can eat 12 chicken eggs in one sitting. Such impressive talents. His fists clenched. I patted my chest. Go ahead, hit me. If you knock me down, tomorrow your father will pass you over for inheritance and give everything to your half-brothers. Even your mother won't be able to protect you then. I took Tianyu's small, cold hand. Come, darling. Let's go home. As we passed the 3 brawling noblewomen, now looking like drowned rats with torn clothes and disheveled hair, I couldn't suppress my delighted laughter. In the carriage, Tianyu stared at me with wide eyes. I offered him a pastry. These are from Golden Phoenix Bakery. I waited in line for an hour. He swallowed but didn't take it. Grandmother says street snacks are unhealthy. Your grandmother, I said, was eating sweet bean cakes in the garden this morning when she thought no one was looking. His lips twitched. Try one, I coaxed gently. Just one. He finally accepted, nibbling cautiously. Then he looked up. Won't Lady Song tell her son to retaliate tomorrow? I chewed thoughtfully. Children's disputes are children's business. We adults shouldn't interfere. He froze. That was the exact response grandmother had given when he'd complained about being bullied, right before refusing to help him. His small face crumpled. I set down my pastry and knelt to his eye level, taking his cold little hands. Do you know something, Tianyu? When I was young, I was also called motherless. My mother died when I was 5. His eyes widened with shock. I was very fierce back then, I continued, smiling. Anyone who called me that name, I chased them down and made them regret it. Once, I chased a boy up a tree. He clung to the trunk crying, too terrified to climb down. Tianyu burst out laughing, revealing adorable dimples I hadn't seen before. You're not like what they said, he whispered. Let me guess what they said. I deepened my voice in imitation. Your stepmother is here. You'll suffer now. When she has her own children, you'll be sent to sleep in the woodshed and won't even get food. He giggled helplessly, his whole body relaxing. I lifted his chin gently. Tianyu, remember this. People who truly love you will protect you even if you tear a hole in the sky. But people who want to hurt you will find ways to torment you even if you hide in a corner. So instead of crying and cowering, learn to fight back. But that causes trouble for father. Your father is a minister. A third-rank official. We Chen family don't start trouble, but we absolutely don't tolerate being bullied. Understand? His eyes lit up like they contained stars. He nodded vigorously. After a pause, he asked softly, tomorrow, may I have lotus cakes from South Street? My heart melted completely. I spread my arms and hugged him tight. Of course. Tomorrow I'll buy the biggest one and eat it right in front of the academy gates, making all those little devils drool with envy. After that legendary battle at the academy gates, Lady Song and her cronies avoided me like I carried plague. They'd literally cross the street, take detours through questionable neighborhoods, anything to avoid confrontation. It was immensely satisfying. My days fell into a comfortable rhythm. Morning, terrorize Tianyu's bullies. Afternoon, teach Tianyu his lessons while stuffing him with delicious treats. Evening, listen to Chen's hilarious stories about pompous officials while he massaged my shoulders like a devoted husband. Chen really did keep his promises. During the day, he was Lord Chen, dignified, diplomatic, beloved by all. At night, he'd return to our quarters and transform into a doting husband who'd peel grapes for me one by one while asking about my day. One afternoon, while teaching Tianyu to whistle with leaves, the gatekeeper announced a visitor. Madam, a plain carriage has stopped outside. The driver brought this. He handed me a calling card with just 2 words, business matter. No signature. The calligraphy was bold and arrogant. Definitely Lady Song. Tell them I'm not receiving visitors, I said, tossing the card aside. But the servant returned with a small cloth bundle. The driver said if Madam won't meet, please look at this first. Inside was a gold ingot. Genuine, heavy, substantial. Let them in. Money delivered to my door? Not meeting would be wasteful. An hour later, in a private room of a discreet tea house, I faced a haggard Lady Song disguised as a commoner. When she removed her covering hat, her face was twisted with unresolved hatred. Speak directly, I said. What do you want? She stared at me like she wanted to devour me alive. Finally, through gritted teeth, help me with something. We're enemies. Why would I help? 1,000 taels of gold. I shook my head. My husband is wealthy. I don't need money. 3,000. The Song mansion is powerful. Offending you could hurt my husband's career. 5,000 taels plus 2 shops on East Street. I sat up straight. Done. It's not about money. I simply despise men who betray virtuous wives. Lady Song laughed coldly and told me everything. Her husband, Lord Song, had been seduced by a concubine named Yu. She was pregnant, allegedly, and used her condition to torment Lady Song endlessly. But Lady Song knew the truth. The pregnancy was fake. How are you certain? I asked. She smiled with terrifying satisfaction. Because I've been secretly giving my husband herbal medicine that prevents conception for 2 years. He can't father children anymore. That wench's belly is empty. A chill ran down my spine. Compared to her, my sharp tongue was merciful. I only used words to vent anger. I'd never destroy someone's ability to have children. What do you want me to do? Expose her fake pregnancy publicly? Humiliate them both beyond recovery? I stroked my chin. Difficult, but stimulating. Tomorrow, arrange a meeting at Jade Butterfly Pavilion. Leave the rest to me. The next afternoon, I brought Tianyu, ostensibly to buy him a jade pendant, timing our arrival precisely when you would be there. The moment we entered, I spotted her. Delicate, fragile-looking, one hand protectively cradling her pregnant belly while she laughed coquettishly with other ladies. I pulled Tianyu to a corner and grabbed a handful of the shop's complimentary sunflower seeds, sharing them with an elderly woman nearby. "Madam, who is that impressive lady?" I asked casually. The woman pursed her lips. "That's you, Lord Song's favorite concubine. She parades that belly around like it's made of jade." "Perfect." Lady Song entered with her maids. The performance began. You immediately rushed over, tears streaming. "Sister, why are you here?" "I was just looking at this jade bracelet to gift you." She pointed to an exquisite emerald piece. Lady Song laughed coldly. "I was looking at that bracelet first. You deliberately came to compete for it." "Oh my," I whispered loudly to the elderly woman. "Legitimate wife versus concubine. This will be good." People gathered, whispering, pointing. You clutched her belly and sank dramatically to the ground. "Sister, I know you hate me. I'll leave now." "Why did you have to push me?" "This belly carries the Lord's air." I grabbed more sunflower seeds. "Better than theater," I muttered. Right on cue, Lord Song burst through the doors, delivering a vicious slap that spun Lady Song completely around. "You vicious woman. Apologize to you immediately." You grabbed his sleeve, sobbing. "My lord, please don't blame sister. It's because I'm lowly and unworthy in the house. Your arrogance isn't enough? You must cause scenes in public too?" Lord Song raised his hand again. I rushed forward and grabbed his wrist. "Who dares?" He turned, confused. I smiled ingratiatingly. "Lord Song, please calm yourself. This humble woman just wanted to observe how a proper nobleman disciplines his wife, so I might apply the technique at home." The room burst into laughter. Lord Song's face turned scarlet. "Oh. My belly. The pain." You groaned dramatically. "The baby might not survive." Lord Song panicked, scooping her up. He turned to Lady Song. "If anything happens to this child, I'll divorce you immediately." I blocked his path. "My lord, wait. If you run while carrying her like that, you'll shake the gold lump in her belly into gold water." He stopped, confused. "Then what should I do?" I pointed at the elderly woman. "A skilled physician is right here." I grabbed Dr. Sun, my father's old friend, whom I'd invited specifically for this drama. "Dr. Sun, the show's over. Time to save someone." I turned to Lord Song. "Quickly, set Lady Yu down so Dr. Sun can examine her. Matters of lineage cannot be taken lightly." You struggled desperately. "No need, my lord. I feel better now." "Nonsense." I pressed her firmly into a chair. "Your belly carries the Lord's precious treasure. How can we be careless?" I shot Lady Song a glance. I despise women who abuse their position as legitimate wives. Lord Song nodded approvingly. Listen to her. Let the physician examine you. You trembled, refusing to extend her hand. I yanked her wrist out and pressed it down. Dr. Sun, take her pulse. Treat her well, and the Lord will reward you generously. Hearing reward, Dr. Sun's eyes lit up. His fingers touched her wrist. His expression shifted from professional to doubtful to shocked to horrified. Well? Lord Song demanded. Is the pregnancy unstable? Dr. Sun dropped his medical kit and fell to his knees. My lord, spare this humble servant. This young lady's pulse is flatter than my elderly waist. There is absolutely no pregnancy pulse whatsoever. What? Lord Song exploded. He tried to keep his voice low, clearly wanting to hide the family scandal, but I had other plans. What? I shrieked loudly. You're saying this lady isn't pregnant at all? I turned to the crowd. Everyone heard that clearly, right? She claimed to carry the Lord's heir and even accused the legitimate wife of pushing her. Yu's face turned ashen. My lord, this quack wants to harm me. You can't trust him. Dr. Sun, terrified of losing his livelihood, shouted back, heaven and earth witness. I practiced medicine for 30 years. I can read the pulse of an unhatched chicken egg. You're not pregnant. How dare you falsely accuse me? Lady Song stood, dusted herself off, and delivered the final blow with a smile. Sister Yu, why so flustered? I've already invited Imperial Physician Wang from the Imperial Medical Bureau. When he arrives, truth will be revealed. Hearing Imperial Physician, Yu fainted dramatically. Within hours, all of Jinling buzzed with gossip. Did you hear? Lord Song was fooled by a woman with a fake pregnancy. That concubine carried a stuffed belly around for months. The Lord is officially the blindest man in the capital. Lord Song became the year's biggest laughingstock. Meanwhile, I gained a new title among noble ladies, the heroine who destroys evil concubines. Lady Song, along with Lady Zhang and Lady Wu, formed an unlikely sisterhood after sharing that battle. They still mocked each other constantly, but their eyes held grudging respect. They even sent me a massive flower basket with a card reading. First line, scumbag men and cheap women, may they face ruin. Second line, celebrating our sister's proud return to independence. Horizontal inscription, Phoenix Reborn. I laughed until I cried. Life continued peacefully at Chen Mansion. My routine solidified, terrorizing bullies by day, stuffing Tianyu with treats, gathering with my reluctant sisterhood for gossip sessions about taming or destroying husbands. Even Chen had begun coming home earlier, personally checking Tianyu's homework, showing actual fatherly warmth. Tianyu himself had transformed from a lonely little cabbage into a fierce carnivorous plant. He still looked pitifully innocent, but any child who dared provoke him received a verbal evisceration that would make grown men weep. I'd almost forgotten that my original reason for marrying Chen was those 16 properties. Not love. Not family. Just a business transaction. Then everything shattered. One afternoon, 8 months pregnant and moving like an overstuffed dumpling, I arrived at the academy to pick up Tianyu. Dismissal came and went. No Tianyu. My heart lurched. I rushed inside to inquire. The teacher reported regretfully, young Master Tianyu was already collected by another lady. The candy I was holding dropped to the ground. That wasn't right. Mother-in-law never left the mansion. Chen was buried in work at the revenue department. Had we encountered human traffickers? Panic flooded my mind. Just as I was about to send someone back to report, Lady Song appeared from nowhere, extending 5 fingers. 500 taels, and I'll tell you where your son is. I pulled out money faster than a magician pulling rabbits from hats. She looked momentarily stunned. Even an iron rooster knows to pluck her own feathers for her child. Stop talking. Where is he? She tucked the money into her chest. Go home. Your son went home early. I was furious enough to grind my teeth to powder. Racing back to the mansion, I found Tianyu sitting peacefully in grandmother's lap, sucking on a shiny golden candy, a type I'd never seen. Anger blazed. I rushed over and grabbed his ear. Tianyu. Who gave you permission to leave without me? Do you know how worried I was? Mother, I'm sorry. Tianyu. A cold, arrogant female voice interrupted. Come to mother. Only then did I notice an additional woman in the hall. She wore phoenix-embroidered golden robes, radiating an aura of I'm obscenely wealthy from head to toe. Her gaze at me was like looking at an insect. Who are you? I demanded. She calmly wiped her mouth, not bothering to answer. Instead, she turned gently to Tianyu. Tianyu, tell her who I am. Tianyu slowly left his grandmother's embrace and walked to the woman's side, head hanging, hands twisting his clothes. Finally, in a voice barely audible, she's my birth mother. Those 3 words, my birth mother, struck like lightning, instantly emptying my mind. I stared at him in shock. Your birth mother? Isn't she gone? The woman slammed the table. You're the one who should be gone. I looked toward my mother-in-law for explanation. She immediately displayed expert-level acting, eyes closed, softly snoring. Perfect. Everyone pretends to be unconscious during crucial moments. I took a deep breath, stroked Tianyu's cheek, forced a smile. Good child, go to your room to study. The nurse will bring your dinner, including that lotus leaf chicken you love. Tianyu nodded obediently and started to follow me. Wait. The woman's authoritative voice rang out. How can you leave without bowing to mother? Tianyu reluctantly bowed. Son takes his leave. The woman smiled mockingly at me, showing off her victory. I wasn't bothered. I simply instructed the nurse, remember to add 2 eggs to his soup tonight. After Tianyu left, silence fell. My mother-in-law continued her Oscar-worthy snoring. The woman straightened her back like she owned the place, clearly waiting for me to bow. Ridiculous. I casually plopped into the grand chair, immediately summoning 2 maids to massage my swollen legs. Does madam want a foot massage as well? The cleverest maid asked. Proceed. I waved magnanimously, closing my eyes in bliss. The woman's face turned green as an unripe banana. Time crawled. My mother-in-law's snoring intensified. Tea-serving maids rotated 3 times. The guest went through cup after cup of tea, her face turning purple from trying to hold her bladder. Finally, salvation arrived. Chen returned, but he didn't walk in. He slid in on his knees, a perfect sliding entry right to my feet, immediately beginning to massage without a word. Madam must have been terrified. This humble husband deserves death 10,000 times. While comforting me, he didn't forget to turn toward his mother. Mother, stop pretending. Go eat dinner. Your stomach is rumbling louder than thunder. Caught, mother-in-law scrambled out faster than a startled rabbit. The woman laughed coldly. Wu Xian, your new wife seems quite fierce indeed. Chen continued massaging without looking up. Guards, escort this unwelcome person out immediately. She shot up, trembling with rage. How dare you? If you drive me away today, tomorrow I'll take Tianyu with me. Try it. Chen suddenly looked up, his gaze sharp and cold, his entire aura transforming into something terrifying. I feared he'd ruin everything, so I pinched his thigh hard, signaling him to calm down. Are you crazy? You're scaring me. Chen executed another elegant kneeling maneuver, clutching my dress and pleading. Madam, please don't misunderstand for even a moment. She and I divorced long ago. In my heart, in my dreams, there is only you. I struggled to suppress laughter. Didn't you say your first wife left? How is she crawling back now? Chen put on an innocent expression. She really did leave. After the divorce, she left here. I even had the matchmaker clearly state I was divorced with 1 child. I thought you knew. I was speechless. Back then, hearing Lord Chen wuxian, I'd nodded so eagerly, afraid this delicious opportunity would vanish, that I'd completely ignored the details. I turned away stiffly. Who knows if you two still have unfinished business? Old flames rekindling uninvited. Chen transformed into a puppy, rubbing his face against my dress. In my heart, there is only Madam. Even if a celestial goddess descended, I'd look the other way. My mouth twitched upward, but I quickly suppressed it. That's barely acceptable. I turned to the ex-wife, whose face had turned deathly pale. Listen, big sister. You and Chen are divorced now. Suddenly appearing, what's your intention? Want to remarry? Sorry, don't even dream about it. The ex-wife, whose name was apparently Qin Yunqi, raised her chin high, face full of disdain. Remarry? You two think too highly of yourselves. I came to take Tianyu back and raise him as heir to the Qin family. Qin family, I whispered to Chen. The Qin family, he whispered back, is so wealthy, even the imperial treasury shows them respect. Oh my heavens. I jumped up and immediately put on a 5-star smile. So it's Lady Qin. How rude. How very rude. Have you eaten? Would you like to stay for dinner? Qin Yunqi adjusted her clothes, looking satisfied with my sensible attitude. I smiled brightly. Then please hurry back to your mansion for dinner. We're also about to eat, so we won't keep you. Take your time leaving. Her face cycled through white, green, black, and red in rapid succession. Standing up, she glared at my large pregnant belly and laughed coldly. Tomorrow, I'll come take Tianyu. After all, once you have your own child, you won't love him anymore. Nonsense. I roared, supporting my belly as I charged forward. I've spent a year picking him up from school, helping with homework. I know the 3-character classic by heart. And you, besides birthing him, what do you know about being a mother? You think showing up occasionally like a ghost makes you worthy? Listen carefully, Qin Yunqi. You want to snatch my son? No way. I'll even block the windows. Chen wrapped his arms around me, but his eyes stared straight at Qin Yunqi, his usual gentleness completely gone, replaced by terrifying coldness. Yunqi, you have no right to be his mother. Do you remember that year when you tried twice to abort him for the Qin family fortune? If I hadn't secretly switched your abortion medicine with pregnancy-preserving herbs, Tianyu wouldn't exist. For 4 years, he grew up without being held by his birth mother even once. What he needs is family warmth, not golden jewels. These things, someone like you who only sees profit could never understand. Qin Yunqi laughed as if hearing a great joke. Family warmth? That's just self-consolation for the poor and humble. With money, Tianyu will understand that all troubles can be solved with wealth. Seeing that argument was useless, I suddenly had an idea. Lady Qin, verbal disputes are meaningless. How about we make a bet to see whose side Tianyu's heart ultimately turns to? Her eyes narrowed. What kind of bet? Very simple. Bet on whose side Tianyu's heart will ultimately turn to. I held up one finger. Time limit, 1 month. During this month, you can use any methods you want. After 1 month, if he voluntarily goes with you, I absolutely won't stop him. I'll even give you this entire minister's mansion as a congratulatory gift. But if he doesn't go, you must disappear from our lives forever. Never appear again. Qin Yunqi smiled confidently, as if she could already see her victory. Agreed. She crossed her arms, looking at me with contempt. I'll show you that money can make even ghosts do your bidding. Chen and I stayed up all night strategizing. We agreed that in the coming month, we had to use all our love to make Tianyu understand that this place was truly his home, and we absolutely had to keep him by our side. Though I'd made up my mind, my heart felt heavy. Over the past year, I'd poured out my heart and soul. But the 4 words "blood is thicker than water" couldn't be taken lightly. They weighed on my heart like a mountain. Seeing my silence, Chen knelt on the washstand again, raising 3 fingers to the sky in oath. Madam, rest assured. I will definitely make Tianyu stay by your side, so that in the future he can support us in our old age. I tapped his head lightly. There you go, talking nonsense again. Who needs him to support us? Then I unconsciously sighed, my voice full of melancholy. If Yunqi truly treats him well, letting him go back to inherit the family fortune and live a life of wealth and glory wouldn't be impossible either. My eyes involuntarily reddened. The treasure I'd raised for so long, thinking of having to hand him over to someone else made my heart ache like someone was cutting away a piece of flesh. Chen saw me crying and hurriedly wiped my tears, his voice full of indignation. Madam is too kind-hearted. Someone who only thinks of profit like Yunqi, she was once heartless enough not to want to give birth to him. How could she have genuine maternal feelings now? She came back simply because she's too lazy to have children but still wants an heir for the Qin family's vast fortune. That's not love. It's exploitation. His words stirred up my competitive spirit. I wiped away my tears and clenched my fists. You're right. We absolutely cannot bow to the power of money. What if she has money? Our Qin mansion isn't exactly lacking in food or clothing either. The next day, I brought Tianyu to school with complex feelings. The carriage was silent. He kept his head down the whole time. Near the school gate, he finally struggled to pull out a crumpled banknote and tremblingly pressed it into my hand. Mother. Birth mother said that if I go with her, she'll give me 1,000 taels spending money every day. He looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. Mother, I know 1,000 taels is a lot of money. Please use it to buy jewelry. My heart melted, knowing immediately that this child's heart still turned toward me. My good child. I hugged him close, gently stroking his small back. Don't be troubled by those words. Tonight, Mother will take you to Golden Phoenix Villa. We'll have a really good meal. He looked up, his voice choked. Mother, aren't you angry with me? This is adult business, not your fault. I gently stroked his head. You just need to remember one thing. No matter what happens, my Tianyu will always be a child worthy of love. Seeing him turn away to hide his tears, I didn't expose him either. I silently handed him his book bag, my mind already switching to thinking about whether we should have braised pork trotters or sweet and sour fish for dinner. But as soon as I lifted the carriage curtain and looked up, I nearly dropped my jaw in shock. Today's scene at the school gate was completely different. All the teachers wore formal ceremonial robes, and the headmaster was smiling so broadly his wrinkles could trap flies. Everyone bowed in unison. Welcome, young Master Tianyu. This ceremony was grander than welcoming a top scholar returning home in glory. Little Tianyu had obviously never seen such a scene. His young vanity thoroughly satisfied, he unconsciously waved his hand in the manner of a high official. You may all rise. Immediately after, a magnificent carriage resembling a miniature palace slowly stopped. Even the 4 fine horses pulling it wore golden neck rings. Qin Yunqi, dressed in silk and brocade, stepped down like an empress, followed by 8 maids carrying trays full of jewels. Little Tianyu, do you like it? This is a gift your birth mother gave to your school. She pointed to the newly replaced signboard cast entirely in real gold. Tianyu nodded eagerly like a pecking chicken. I like it. The teachers, usually stern, were today unusually warm and friendly. Qin Yunqi pulled out another banknote and stuffed it into his hand. Take this to buy gifts for your classmates. I glanced at it, and my heart skipped a beat. 500 taels, enough for our entire household to live comfortably for half a year. My integrity immediately flew up to the 9th heaven. I squeezed out the most ingratiating smile possible and sidled closer. Oh my, sister has such bearing and nobility. I wonder if you still need a sworn sister. How about taking me as one? She laughed until her shoulders shook, then flung out another banknote. Very good, sweet tongue. Here's your reward. Good heavens, 1,000 taels. I clutched both banknotes like precious treasures, then turned and held them high like a victory flag, shouting to the group of noble ladies gathering to watch. Sisters. Today I'm treating everyone. Let's go to the #1 restaurant in Jinling, Eastern Garden. And we won't go home until we're drunk. Qin Yunqi fanned herself with a silk fan, speaking as casually as if discussing the weather. Oh, that place is our family's property. Just mention my name, and you can all dine there free for life. As soon as she finished speaking, cheers erupted behind me like New Year firecrackers. Lady Qin is truly magnanimous. Lady Qin is so generous. I forced out a smile, but inside I felt sour, as if I'd drunk a jar of vinegar. The next 2 weeks, I truly experienced what it felt like to be slapped in the face by a rich person's money. Today, Qin Yunqi had Persian carpets laid from the school gate all the way to the classroom. Tomorrow, she had jade and emeralds embedded in the teacher's pointers, supposedly to make hitting hands more comfortable. The climax was when she gave each student a night-illuminating pearl for playing marbles in the dark. Lady Song and the sisterhood were bought off daily with rare treasures. The ladies turned the school gate into a gathering place, coming punctually every day like going to market, just to wait for Lady Qin to distribute rewards. As the 1-month deadline approached, Qin Yunqi also grew tired of acting. That day after school, she casually took Tianyu's hand and stepped onto her magnificent carriage that moved like a mobile castle. She lifted the window curtain and shot me a triumphant look. May, I told you, money can make ghosts do your bidding. I couldn't swallow this anger. I took a deep breath and flashed a brilliant smile, shouting loudly to the crowd. Sisters! Lady Qin is in high spirits. She's treating us all to her private zoo to pet pandas. First come, first served. As soon as I finished speaking, a whirlwind of perfume swept past me. Lady Song, quick as lightning, had already darted into the carriage, abandoning her 3 sons who were calling for mother in confusion. Lady Zhang, hating that she couldn't grow 2 more legs, ran until she lost her shoes but still chased barefoot. Lady Wu was even more domineering. She shoved aside Qin Yunqi's driver and grabbed the reins herself. Hurry up. Save me a spot first. Qin Yunqi's face turned green as a frog's bottom, while I stood with my clothes fluttering in the breeze, calmly stepping onto my own rattling carriage like a strategist who had just finished deploying troops, waiting to watch the good show. Inside the mobile fortress, Qin Yunqi still tried to salvage her image. Little Tianyu, are you happy staying with birth mother? Tianyu was playing with 9 linked rings made of pure gold, answering absently. Happy, I guess. Her face brightened as she quickly asked, so in your opinion, is staying with your stepmother more fun, or staying with birth mother more fun? Tianyu answered without hesitation. Staying with mother is more fun. Mother, that was the special name he reserved only for me. Lady Song, sitting beside them, couldn't help but snort with laughter. Lady Zhang also chimed in. The children of the Chen family are born knowing how to distinguish truth from falsehood. Where true sincerity lies, children sense most clearly. Lady Wu added, exactly right. Qin Yunqi's face immediately turned deathly pale. Only now did she realize that this group of noble ladies, while flattering her on the surface, were actually all spies I had planted. She angrily turned to Tianyu with harsh words. No matter how good she is to you, she's still just a stepmother. When she has her own child, you'll be thrown out on the street. Tianyu suddenly looked up, his expression extremely serious. He answered clearly, no, she won't. Mother said I'm her greatest treasure. Even if there are younger brothers or sisters later, I'll always be the eldest. On my carriage, I had no idea about the conversation inside that luxurious vehicle. I was only worried enough to twist my handkerchief into shreds, afraid that the foolish child I loved with all my heart would ultimately be dazzled by money's glitter. When we arrived at the Qin family's private zoo, I had just gotten off the carriage and taken a few steps when a sharp, tearing pain struck my lower abdomen, making my legs go weak and causing me to collapse. Qin Yunqi stepped down from her carriage, saw the scene, and merely waved her hand coldly. See? This type of woman only knows how to fake it, playing the victim to win sympathy. Tianyu, you must remember, only birth mother truly cares for you. I was in so much pain I bit my lip, about to speak in defense, when I suddenly felt a rush of hot liquid flowing from below. The water broke. Lady Song, being experienced, cried out in alarm. Quick, quick! She's about to give birth. She rushed over to support me. Hurry! Carry her to the carriage and get her back to the mansion. But Qin Yunqi blocked the carriage door with her arm, her face full of disgust. Absolutely not. That Tibetan carpet is a tribute from the western regions, worth 3,000 gold taels. If it gets dirty, how do we account for it? A crisp slap echoed as Lady Song couldn't hold back anymore and struck her directly. You heartless woman. Is the carriage more important or a human life? Everyone hurriedly worked together to lift me into the luxurious carriage. I was in so much pain that everything went dark before my eyes, my whole body convulsing nonstop. Tianyu gripped my hand tightly, crying like rain. Mother, don't be scared. Tianyu will protect you. Qin Yunqi, holding her swollen cheek, still bitterly taunted. Foolish boy. When she gives birth to a son, you'll be the one thrown out on the street. I struggled to raise a trembling finger, pointing at her. Get lost. Lady Song immediately understood and continued, for me, get lost back to your rainbow-colored mansion. She pointed straight at Qin Yunqi and unleashed a torrent of abuse. Shameless creature. Years ago, you abandoned husband and child for money, making the Chen family so poor they had nothing to eat. Now, seeing them raise your child healthy and smart, you want to come harvest the sweet fruit? There's no such easy thing in this world. Lady Wu nodded like a pecking chicken. Exactly right. Lady Zhang also joined in, her voice full of contempt. Can't bear children yourself, so you come to snatch someone else's raised child? Have you no shame? Tianyu is everyone's treasure, not for someone like you to freeload off. Exactly right. Lady Wu nodded repeatedly again. Tianyu suddenly cried even harder. Mother, I was wrong. These past days, I was just pretending. I was only acting friendly to take her money. He sobbed while pulling out a thick stack of banknotes from his chest and shoving them all into my hands. With this money, Mother won't have to live frugally anymore. I don't want Mother to die. I want Mother to safely give birth to the baby. Later, we children will be filial to you together. In the midst of excruciating pain, I looked at the stack of money that could buy half a street, not knowing whether to cry or laugh. This foolish boy had truly plucked Qin Yunqi clean as a whistle. Lady Song wiped my tears while sniffling herself. Oh my, this scene of loving mother and filial son is so moving. Lady Zhang patted my shoulder, her eyes also red. That's right. Seeing such a filial child makes me feel life is still worth living. Exactly right, Lady Wu nodded. Qin Yunqi stood stunned, seemingly wanting to argue back, but Tianyu had already stepped forward, shielding me. He looked up, his young gaze determined beyond his years, his voice clear as he refuted all her words. If my mother has any mishap because of you, I will never forgive you for the rest of my life. The carriage raced back to the mansion, where the midwife and hot water were already waiting. Chen had rushed in like a whirlwind, grabbing the midwife's hand and stammering, "Preserve the mother. You must preserve the mother." The midwife turned pale and pushed his hand away. My lord, wouldn't it be best if both mother and child are safe? He approached, and I was about to say something loving when I suddenly screamed, because the hand I'd just extended had been bitten by me in a spasm of pain, drawing blood. Finally, in the chaos, I gave birth to a rosy, adorable little princess. Tianyu beside the bed wept with joy, solemnly promising, from now on, if there's anything delicious, I'll definitely let little sister have it first. I was exhausted beyond measure, weakly looking toward the door where Qin Yunqi still stood, her expression complex, containing jealousy and unwillingness, but also a trace of indescribable admiration. Sorry, I whispered, for dirtying your carriage. I'll have Chen compensate you. Her face froze. Then, as if to hide her confusion, she threw down a large denomination banknote. It's just a carriage. Our family has hundreds of them. No need for compensation. Consider this congratulatory money for your daughter. I looked at the number on the banknote and nearly jumped out of bed. 10,000 taels. Tears of emotion for the child and tears of excitement for the money both flowed from my eyes. I quickly reached out to grab her hand. Sister. From now on, we are truly sisters of different fathers and mothers. The corner of her mouth twitched several times, seemingly unsure how to respond to my shamelessness, and finally left quietly. A year later, under the eaves, I held my soft little princess, Lianhua, who was dozing in the sun. Chen sat beside me like a well-behaved puppy, carefully peeling grapes and feeding them to me one by one. Madam, Mother! Tianyu burst out from behind the artificial mountain like a small whirlwind, holding a thick stack of banknotes. I plucked another pile of sheep's wool. I laughed and clapped in approval. Well done, my son. Your technique is even better than your father's medicine switching skills from years ago. Chen blushed, saying awkwardly, Madam, that's ancient history. Please don't bring it up anymore. Just as our family was enjoying ourselves, Lady Song suddenly rushed in like she was being chased by ghosts. This is bad, Mei. That witch is here again. Before she finished speaking, Qin Yunqi, dressed in magnificent robes and wearing high platform shoes, followed by a train of servants, had already strolled in casually, as if taking a walk in her own garden. Oh, everyone's here. Everyone immediately took battle positions, preparing for a new fight. Only I still smiled and waved. Sister arrived at the perfect time. Come see your goddaughter. Qin Yunqi nearly tripped over her own feet. Who is whose goddaughter? I argued righteously. That day you gave 10,000 taels as a meeting gift. Wasn't that accepting to be her godmother? She stood there dumbfounded, but faced with my logic, she finally had to grind her teeth and pull out a night-illuminating pearl the size of a goose egg, stuffing it into my daughter's hands. Fine. A gift for my goddaughter. Seeing this, Lady Song also refused to be outdone, taking out an exquisite golden lock and carefully putting it on the baby. My sweet future daughter-in-law. Grow up quickly and marry into the Song mansion. As soon as she finished speaking, Lady Zhang glared and charged forward. Rui. That golden lock looks familiar. Isn't it the one I dropped at your gate yesterday? In an instant, the small courtyard of Chen Mansion turned into a chaotic marketplace. Over here, Tianyu was seriously teaching Wei the secret techniques of extracting pocket money from birth mothers. Over there, Lady Song and Lady Zhang were already pulling each other's hair. Lady Wu was frantically trying to mediate. If you want to fight, go inside to fight. Don't scare the children. Taking advantage of everyone's distraction, Qin Yunqi secretly pulled out a scroll of documents from her sleeve, then stealthily approached me, trying to grab my little princess's tiny hand to press it onto the prepared inheritance document. She lowered her voice coaxingly. Good little one, just press your little hand here, and all of the Qin family fortune will be yours. In the midst of the chaotic scene, Chen had somehow appeared beside me, quietly taking my hand. The spring sunlight poured honey over the small courtyard, enveloping everything and making even this chaotic scene seem covered with a gentle glow. I looked around at this bizarre family I'd somehow acquired. A husband who'd hired me as a weapon. A stepson who'd become my greatest treasure. A baby daughter. Sworn sisters who insulted each other daily but would die for one another. And an ex-wife turned reluctant fairy godmother who couldn't stay away. Sometimes connections don't always have to maintain dignified silence. Sometimes they're just this kind of noisy, strange mess, but so solid that no one can tear them apart. Tianyu caught my eye and grinned, holding up his latest acquisition from Qin Yunqi. Another thick stack of banknotes. I winked at him and mouthed, well done. Chen squeezed my hand gently, his eyes soft with genuine affection that had grown somewhere along the way, beyond our business arrangement, beyond the strategic alliance. Madam, he whispered, I believe this is what they call happiness. I looked at the chaos surrounding us, the arguing ladies, the scheming children, the crying baby, the servants running in circles trying to restore order. You know what, husband? I smiled. I believe you're absolutely right. Because I'd finally learned what my sharp tongue was truly meant for. Not to wound, but to protect. Not to destroy, but to defend the family I'd chosen and who had chosen me in return. And that, I realized, was worth more than all 16 properties combined. Though I was definitely keeping those properties. A woman had to have standards, after all. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Lotus Tale Studios for more powerful stories every single day. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep your tongue sharp and your heart even sharper.